The rain cascaded in torrents, drenching the neon-lit streets of Las Vegas in shimmering sheets of water. Every droplet seemed to echo the tension coiled within me. Half a mile back, a presence had stirred in the shadows, its aura a blend of danger, cunning, and barely restrained violence. Amidst the cacophony of the bustling strip, I felt isolated, keenly aware of the looming threat that was steadily closing in. The mandate was chillingly clear: kill on sight. The scent of wet asphalt mixed with the pungent odor of cigarettes and alcohol from the nearby clubs, creating a cocktail of urban decay that clawed at my senses. I felt their eyes on me, the cold scrutiny of my own kind. With a subtle pulse, undetectable to full-blooded vampires, I signaled my awareness. My abilities set me apart. I was a rarity, a half-breed, the sole survivor since the decree of extermination. But their mistake was assuming my heritage made me vulnerable. Over 3 centuries had honed my strength and cunning. If anything, I was a force they had yet to fully comprehend. A low rumble of thunder rolled overhead, the sky flickering with sporadic flashes of lightning. My reflection stared back at me from the glass windows of a nearby casino, distorted by the rain running down its surface. I appeared as just another pedestrian in a sea of tourists, my black coat blending into the night. But beneath the facade, every fiber of my being was taut, alert, ready. Sensations prickled at the edge of my awareness. 2 distinct auras closing in. A third waited, a sentinel at the block's end, patiently watching for any attempt at escape. A pulse confirmed my fears. 3 adversaries, each as lethal as the next. I scanned the scene, my senses stretching beyond what was visible. The subtle shift of air pressure hinted at movements my eyes couldn't track. I was trapped, with no easy escape. As I approached the block's boundary, our gazes met. Though invisible to the oblivious humans around her, I felt her piercing stare. A subtle flex of her power unsettled those nearby, causing a few to cough and shift uncomfortably, oblivious to the supernatural standoff unfolding. She stood with an alluring confidence, her form distinct against the vibrant backdrop of the Las Vegas Strip. At 5'5", she carried herself with a captivating blend of grace and strength. Her curves were pronounced, a testament to her timeless allure. Cascading red hair framed a face adorned with high cheekbones and eyes of piercing green, which seemed to shimmer with an enigmatic depth. Dressed in business-casual attire, she seamlessly blended into the modern tapestry of society, her appearance both contemporary and subtly commanding. Her aura was unmistakable, sharp, coiled like a viper ready to strike. She had the look of someone accustomed to getting what she wanted, with an air of control that bordered on predatory. Her heels clicked softly against the rain-slicked pavement as she shifted her weight slightly, observing me with an intensity that sent ripples through the air. Her lips curved into a faint smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. Behind that facade of calm, I could feel the weight of centuries pressing down on me. A reminder that while I had survived the purge, I was far from untouchable. The second aura lingered just out of sight, his presence a cold and calculated force, biding his time. From the way his energy pulsed in my direction, I knew he was testing me, gauging my reaction. His style was different, more methodical, like a predator stalking its prey in the darkness. I could feel his gaze sweeping over the scene, dissecting every detail, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The third, the sentinel, was more primal, almost feral in his energy. He thrummed with barely contained aggression, a force of nature waiting to be unleashed. Positioned at the end of the block, he was the muscle, the brute who would deliver the final blow if the others failed. His presence was a heavy weight, a reminder that even if I escaped the first 2, he would be waiting, fists like hammers, ready to crush whatever was left of me. The world around me slowed as I calculated my options. 3 enemies, each formidable in their own right, and me, outnumbered but not outmatched. They expected a cornered animal, desperate and reckless. But what they didn't realize was that this was exactly where I thrived. In the shadows, under pressure, with death hanging in the balance. This was where I made my stand. Closing the gap between us, She moved with a feline grace that belied her lethal intent, her movements fluid, like a predator toying with prey before the kill. Our silent exchange, a mere nod, spoke volumes, an unspoken understanding between two beings bound by their predatory nature. Her lips, still curled in that faint, almost mocking smile, held the promise of a deadly encounter. Surrounding us, the glittering lights of Las Vegas dazzled oblivious onlookers, a stark contrast to the imminent danger that hung in the air, hidden just beneath the surface of this neon paradise. My senses sharpened as the raindrops drummed against the pavement, each one heightening the awareness of the storm brewing between us. My mind raced through the limited options. I could rely on my unparalleled speed, which had allowed me to outmaneuver even Aragorn, a vampire of considerable age and experience. His prowess was well known, his reputation one of bloodshed and cunning, yet I had evaded him. But here, in the heart of this city of lights and shadows, the alleys were more of a labyrinth than a sanctuary. Every turn could lead me deeper into a trap. My pursuers were relentless, their senses finely tuned to my trail, their hunger for my capture driving them forward like wolves on the hunt. Another option beckoned: to incapacitate her, leveraging my unique ability to glamour. But the risk was immense. Glamoring one of her caliber, an ancient vampire with control and experience, wasn't as simple as turning the mind of a human. Even if I succeeded, the display of power could easily alert the other lurking threats, tipping the scales further against me. They'd descend upon me, not as hunters in the shadows, but as a pack, ravenous and bloodthirsty. I glanced at her once more, her eyes narrowing slightly as if she could sense my hesitation, my calculations. The glint in her eyes was sharp, dangerous. She likely anticipated my every move, turning the impending showdown into a perilous game of wits and reflexes. The tension between us thickened like the storm clouds overhead, heavy with the promise of violence. A sharp tap jolted my senses, forcing me to pivot. My muscles coiled reflexively, ready for combat. Anger surged within me. Being caught off guard was a rarity, an insult to my instincts. Towering before me was a hulking figure, muscles straining against his soaked shirt, his broad chest heaving slightly as if he had been waiting for the perfect moment to strike. His crew cut framed a face as hard as stone, cold and unforgiving. His emerald eyes, glowing with the predatory hunger of a vampire, fixed on me with a dark amusement. Tag, Aiden. Or should I say, Felix? Choose swiftly. Come with me or watch as I unleash chaos upon these unsuspecting souls, he hissed, his voice a low rasp that dripped with menace, carrying a promise of violence that sent a ripple of fear through the crowd nearby, though no one could pinpoint its source. Every fiber of my being tensed. My gaze, once calm, now burned with a fierce resolve, a spark of rage lighting within me. Though not imposing in stature compared to him, my presence was undeniable, a force hidden beneath the surface, waiting to erupt. Dressed lightly for agility, my boots silent against the pavement, I was ready to vanish into the crowd or engage in a deadly dance at a moment's notice. My brown hair clung to my face, slick from the rain, as my eyes locked onto his, unyielding. A surge of power coursed through me, and I let it flow between us, an arc of invisible energy that only those of our kind could sense, crackling in the space between predator and prey. His lips curled into a sneer, but I held firm, the atmosphere thick with tension. Think carefully, I murmured, my voice steady, yet laced with a quiet threat. How will you act when every limb is rooted in place? I could see his jaw tighten, muscles flexing as he gauged the seriousness of my words. I wasn't bluffing. He might be brute strength, but I was precision, cunning, and power, an enigma they had yet to unravel. His next move would determine whether this night turned into a massacre, or if I slipped through their fingers once again. Panic flickered in his eyes as tendrils burst from the ground, entwining his limbs in a vice-like grip. The tendrils coiled tighter with each passing second, their grip unrelenting as they anchored him to the ground. Before he could even scream, his lips melded shut, a chilling reminder of his helplessness. His muffled cries were drowned out by the rain, his body writhing in a silent struggle. But the sense of victory was fleeting. I felt it, a flicker in the atmosphere. Another presence, fast and closing in, mere yards away. Seizing the momentary distraction, the woman darted past me, her movements fluid, a blur of predatory grace. She was fast, perhaps faster than I anticipated, but this wasn't her fight anymore. I seized the opportunity, slipping through the chaos with precision, luring them away from the crowd. I needed space, a battleground of my choosing. They thought they knew me. They thought my glamour only deceived humans, but they had underestimated me, as so many before them had. Even the most ancient vampires could fall prey to my illusions. Most didn't realize this until it was too late. Navigating through the crowd, I moved with purpose, my senses attuned to every shift around me. The bright lights of the Las Vegas Strip faded as I slipped into the shadows, making my way toward a nearby parking garage. The top floor called to me, a vantage point, high above the city, offering both seclusion and control. Inside the structure, the echoes of footsteps bounced off the walls, 3 security officers on their patrol. I could hear their measured steps, their casual banter, oblivious to the predator in their midst. I moved with practiced ease, accelerating up the ramp, my steps light and deliberate. My movements were precise, calculated to avoid the gaze of security cameras as I made my ascent. A subtle pulse of awareness informed me of their relentless pursuit, but I wasn't fazed. They were following me into my domain now. The thrill of the hunt coursed through my veins, sharpening my focus, my resolve crystallizing with every step. Reaching the rooftop, I took a brief moment to center myself. The rain had slowed to a drizzle, the air thick with tension, as I drew in a deep breath, feeling my power coalesce within me. The city sprawled out beneath, its noise distant, almost muted from this height. A subtle pulse rippled through the air, a harbinger of their swift approach.